So you raced in the sports cars at the Daytona 24 Hours, and you have said, you've been in conversation about retirement and what that looks like for you from time to time over the last couple of years. And you've mentioned that you have other aspirations of racing that you'd like to try, or goals out there that you'd like to do. Is that still the case?
It is.
What are some of those races that you haven't done or that you might want to do again?
Prior to driving that Formula One car, I felt like some more off-road racing to kind of go back to my roots would be a lot of fun. Sports
like the
car.
Baja 1000?
Mexico is a tricky place.
Yeah.
There's plenty of racing in the States that is way safer, so I'd probably start there.
That style of racing?
Yeah, or the short course stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the short course stuff. The stadium stuff's gone, but the outdoor stuff you're talking about, that's still healthy and doing really good. Yeah. And those vehicles have evolved so much. Like, I want to get back in one. I mean, they used to be automatic transmissions, and now they're manual transmissions, much more power to the tires, lighter vehicles, really, really cool trucks. Wow. But since I drove that Formula One car and you have two open wheel cars sitting on the desk, that experience is unlike anything I could describe. I mean, that was so much fun. So I don't know. We'll see when I pull the plug, but I'd love to go do like some kind of road racing series in an Indy car. Certainly look at any type of sports car racing, but that was a really neat experience that I'd like to do more of.
Where do you think you rank as a road course racer?
I don't think that it's my strong suit, but I feel like there's certain tracks that have. I think Sonoma's been really good for me.
Yeah.
When I've been in cars with more downforce and more braking ability, I've been much more competitive. Like in those sports cars, I have been.
Yep.
I just think my driving style isn't ideal for a big heavy cup car. And hopping in that Formula One car and having that chance to match Fernando's lap time as I did in Bahrain was kind of an eye-opening experience for me. That maybe on a road course those fit my style a little bit more.
Right. That's interesting.
How would you describe your style? What is your style?
I have, even still today on an oval, I love the brake pedal. And I think my upbringing on the dirt, the brake pedal starts the corner for me.
Okay.
And I'm so used to using the brakes to pivot the vehicle and turn the vehicle that there's just a habit of using too much brake. And I think on the short run in a cup car, I can create speed doing that. But on the long haul, you just start abusing the brakes, abusing the tires, and that kind of fades on me.
You've always said that you weren't, you didn't feel like that the Xfinity series cars suited you. I've always wished, I guess, privately that you would run some Xfinity races out of our garage from time to time, because we've had guys come and go, cup guys drop down in and run a race here and there. But you've always kind of said that those cars don't really suit you well. And I've always found that really fascinating. And now I think as we transition into the low horsepower, high downforce package that we have today, how have you tried – could you give us specifics, I guess, on how you've had to evolve as a driver and how you've had to change what you do in the car to make those cars work and be competitive in those cars?
Yeah, now more than ever, it would be good to get back in a car, so maybe we should have a conversation and sort that out. I feel like, at one point
these cars kind of drive like the cup cars you were winning championships in now.
Right.
The Xfinity cars do.
But at one point, they were so far apart.
Right.
And I was
They are very far apart now.
You think even more?
Hell yes.
Really?
Oh, man, these things are freaking hard to drive. Like at Darlington, it's a handful. And I mean, the cup cars got the giant spoiler and no power, and you would not want to do the same. You would not want to run both in the same weekend. It would destroy you.
All right, scratch that conversation we're going to have.
Well, I was talking to Blaney about it at Darlington. He's like, it kills you going back and forth.
That was my problem before. It's just they were
different.
They're too far apart. And the other thing that's been tough for me is these guys, at all these shops, especially here, they take that seriously. And I know the effort I put in and day out on my cup side, and I didn't feel like I could fairly put that in on a consistent basis on the Xfinity side, and that's largely been why.
So how did you have to change what you're doing in the car, in the cup car, since there's a huge change in the rules this year? So what did you do as a driver specifically? Give these fans listening some nugget that they're going to go, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, I mentioned using the brake pedal, and there's certainly a set that I look for the car to take in the corner that says stand on it from there, and it's always been a set that's been on the free side and required a smooth throttle application. And I've always felt like my dirt background, that's where that came from, and you just really had to be careful with the throttle and drive it with the right foot. Now that's not the case. Entry speeds aren't as high, especially where the Cup cars sit now, and you have to use your speed in a different manner and staple the throttle. So I've spent my whole life developing a skill to be very gentle with the throttle, and now you've got to kind of anticipate the grip level and then just staple it again. So not only but in both areas, in and off the corner, and it just takes a little bit of takes reps to get used to doing that. And I think that's what hurt me before with the Busch Series cars back in the day. I would take so long to get to wide open based on my natural kind of tendencies that I was just leaving time on the table. Wow. So that's something I'm working really hard at now. I'm literally trying to take my foot off the brake pedal and tuck it up under the brake and just let the air catch me, let the air help the car change directions and drive it more like a light switch.
How does having all the telemetry of the other drivers help a guy like you? You've won and done. I know that you got all the statistics and achievements, but I know also that you're a guy that looks at data and watches how guys use throttle and steering, and you're very open-minded to changing what you're doing on the track or trying something that somebody else is trying. So now that you have everyone's information, how are you using that?
Honestly, that's where I spend the most of my time getting ready for a race now. In the past, watch the race, watch qualifying, any in-car that we might have. And it's been tough to look at any of that stuff the first half of the year because it's all the old package. But the ability to pick cars and to really follow through on a thought in your own mind, like, okay, I'm going about it this way. I saw whoever quick and blah, blah, blah. Let me watch them and maybe see why they were doing it, if it was their car allowing that to happen or their own driving style. So for me, it gives me a lot of rabbit holes to go down over the course of the week and really study people and show up to the track feeling confident in what I'm gonna unload with.
With all that information, are you doing more during the week to prepare for races than you've ever done?
Yeah, for sure. And that SMT application that we have is really where the bulk of my time has been spent. My note taking and our debriefs are all still very similar to the way it's been all along. Probably a little longer on some of the debriefs, so a bit more time there. But the hard thing for me is we've really struggled to count on the simulator as consistently as we need to.
Really?
And it's not the simulator's fault.
Yeah.
It's just we don't test, and you can't get accurate tire data. You can't get accurate track data. And I watch William Byron's in it quite a bit, and there's some point in time in the weekend where we hear or read in the database and their notes that, man, the simulator did X and we tried that and it didn't play out because the data isn't as up to date as we need it.
Yeah, that simulator's always made me nervous to send you down the wrong path.
Especially when you're trying to fine tune for big chunks of speed and to learn a track, phenomenal. But when you're really trying to count on it to apply that to your race car, that's tough.
But in your case, I mean, I'm hearing you say that, and I can't help but think, man, to have the old testing rules would have really been a benefit to you if you're literally having to change your driving style and the things you were used to with this new car. I can't imagine how difficult that would be with absolutely no chance to have reps other than looking at data and simulate.
2 50-minute practice sessions.
What's that?
And 2 50-minute practice sessions. That's all we get now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
And when you look back at the success of the 48, one thing that I think was a major separator for us was Chad and I and our work ethic and our desire to test. We tested all the time.
I remember
all
that.
the time. I mean, one year we won, I think it was like 08 or 09. We were struggling along in trying to win the championship clearly, and we're able to. But we tested 22 times on top of our 38 races.
That was my problem. I hated that.
I didn't love it, but it yielded results, and I'm like, the hell of it, let's go.
Like, no, can't do that. I don't want to do that.
I had some off weekends that we tested on that
ruined.
Whew,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
Well, you got an off weekend, and Chad's like, we're going testing.
Oh, I got you.
So the one that comes to mind, we're going testing. I'd take my wife to be with some friends. We're down in Key West, actually. We go to Key West. I'm like, look, I'm just gone one night, right? Just 2 days of testing. It's the beginning of our off week. No big deal. We go to Kentucky and sit in rain for 2 days. Chad says, load it up. We're going to Nashville.
What?
Sorry, what? We're going to Nashville. We're going to go there test for 2 days. I'm like, hey, babe. We go to Nashville. Rains the first day. Still stayed 2 days in Nashville and tested.
5 days.
5 days.
At a racetrack. 3 of them raining. That was Chad Knaus. He's changed, though, a lot.
He has.
since he's become a dad.
He has that. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. His intensity's
Smiles a
still
lot.
there, and that is
He smiles a
he
lot.
smiles way more for sure.
Is this something that you used to note about how much he didn't smile? Is that what
God,
you used to do?
yes.
You sit and like debrief
Well, I
and
mean,
be
it's just obvious.
like,
Yeah, it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a unique guy,
kids will do that too, though.
but he's much more normal now.
See, the thing with Chad, I was always able to see, the things that people see now. He and I were so close and spent so much time together. I would see that guy often.
Yeah.
The racetrack Chad.
Oh, the normal guy.
The normal guy. Yeah, I always called it off-season Chad. I mean, off weekend or off season, that guy is who many get to see now because he's a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.